Blessed is the man who has suffered and found life. And therefore I say, if he is destroyed, he will be filled with light, but if he is divided, he will be filled with darkness. I want to talk a little bit about this. This is from the Gospel of Thomas in the Nag Hammadi Library. These are the Gnostic Gospels, and these are words that the great Jesus the Christ spoke. There is so much truth to be found in these texts. Blessed is the man or woman who has suffered and found life. When you go through all of these trials in life and all of these sufferings, what do you choose with the healing? What do you choose with the knowledge that you gain from these lessons? Do you choose to become more malicious? Do you choose to become more taking of things? Do you choose anything of a negative variety from the healing of this? Do you lash out with anger? Or are you able to turn this suffering, this lead, into gold, and to turn it into the greatest healing of your lifetime? This is the difference, and this is the choice. This is part of what free will is all about. You can choose how to respond. You can choose what to take from all of these lessons. The other text, therefore I say, if he is destroyed, he will be filled with light. When you destroy yourself, your concept of self, that a big part of the egoic sense of self that was typically put on us by others or ways we had to survive, when you destroy that, you destroy the blanket and the chains and the sheath of what you're stuck in, and you find your light. Light is information, the purity of your soul spark, which is found within your heart. Remember, you are stars, the light that shines. That's what this means. You are lights that shine. You were born to be in the darkness. If you are divided, you will be filled with darkness. All this separation, the ways that this world, the ways that these religions, the ways that these governments have to keep people separated from each other, to keep you separated from yourself, this is where the gold lies, in the connection with self. What you do have to destroy so much of what is perceived as self in this lifetime to arrive at the true nature of yourself, all found within the heart. And you must accept this suffering. The denial of the suffering, the denial of this separates you from the suffering, and it brings you darkness. Some of the worst people I have encountered in my lifetime are those who adhere to the dogmas of Christianity, the ones that adhere to the dogmas of their own belief systems that say we're separated from each other. We're not. And yes, we all come from the same energy. We all are all sourced from the same energy, but this does not mean we are the same or having the same experience. Every single individual in the perception of separation goes through their own trials, goes through their own suffering in order to suffer off the crap that isn't yours and to come into your own truth inside of your heart and the spark of life that you truly are. We choose what we do with these lessons. We choose how we respond. We choose the output of our energy when we become aware. If we choose to remain in the dark, if we choose to remain unconscious, that is a great sin. And even though there is no such thing as the Christian version of sin, we can relate that word sin and bring it into ourselves because we sin against self in shame, in carrying all these burdens that are not ours. And when we let go of all of this and we really find our own light, we suffered off, and we suffered enough to be reduced back into our soul spark. Oftentimes this is what happens. Life crushes you, right? You might lose your job, you might lose your relationship, you might lose people in your life, and these are all sufferings that bring you closer to your core and exactly what and who you are at your soul level. We're born into separation here. We're born into suffering. These dreams have been dreamed for millennia past, but they are not your dreams, are they? We are stuck inside of other dreams, inside of this matrix, inside of this mind trap, this mental prison. And to suffer helps release and let go of these thoughts, of these perceptions, of these perspectives, of these belief systems, so you can throw it all away and really get to exactly who you are. We must suffer. It's acceptance of that suffering and finding joy in that suffering. And this is not a masochistic thing. This is not a sadistic thing. You can find true joy in suffering because you become grateful for what that suffering will teach you when you make that choice. And there are so many that do not make that choice. This is hard to do. This takes the most brutal self-honesty that one can muster. And there are not many out there that are very honest with anyone, let alone themselves. That's where it all begins. If you happen to be neurodivergent, you do have one up in this game because that honesty, that sense of justice flows through strongly. Am I correct? That's often the case with autistic spectrum. The sense of justice and the sense of rightness and the sense of fairness, this is what breeds that oneness. But yet we are all having our beautiful, individual, unique experiences. Yet we are all one. The denial of the individual experience in this creates that separation. We must honor each other's journeys, honor each other's suffering, and not send them pity. There is no pity, there is no shame. May shame be upon you for pitying another. When you pity another, what do we often say? I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Why and how would another ever have authority to be sorry for another's experience? The only reason we may do that is because we have not learned to appreciate our own suffering. And we continue to suffer because we continue to hang on to these stories that we tell ourselves. When you meet somebody and you want to talk about your life, what are the things you talk about? Do you talk about your joys? Do you talk about your seeming accomplishments? Or do you talk about shared miseries and shared complaints? That is so prevalent. We do all share suffering. And that's a beautiful thing because it does help us when you choose to allow it to open yourself to more love, which all comes again through your heart. And there were so many messages lost from this great prophet, Jesus the Christ. And he's been one of my main guides in this whole lifetime. And he's incredible, but he has nothing to do with the Bible. He has nothing to do with Christianity. He has nothing to do with that damn cross. The cross is the representation of the suffering, except it's being worshipped. So the Christian ideology, worshiping the suffering, but not honoring the suffering. It's a worship of the suffering because that is the control agenda. That you must suffer in order to get to heaven. After we die, we get to heaven, right? That's not the case. You find closer relation to how to get your relationship with Source Creator, which is you, inside at your higher consciousness level, where we are indeed all fully connected and one, having these individual experiences which are beautiful. When we witness another in their suffering, we want to hold them high and to honor their suffering and help them understand to honor their suffering, and to applaud them when they rise through their suffering in a great cheer, because they did it and you did it, because you're not creating that separation any longer. No pity, no I'm sorry for you. There is no reason to be. We always want to honor another. I honor your journey. How may I best support you? That is a great question to ask. Do not become separated from the light. The light is what you are. Do not get mired under these stories that are told us from the day we are born here. Understand who and what you are in relation to everything around you. It all begins within you. There is none that exists other than you on some level that you can understand from one of your perceptions when you tap into that. But we choose this. And there are so many in this spiritual movement, this New Age movement. It's all still just another form of religion. That's all people create. Another way to give away power. Another way to make others different than us, right? Oh, you're not so gifted in that. Well, I can do all this. Do you have the I disorder? We step into our I am frequency. And everybody has that frequency, the I am frequency. When you say I am, you are making a statement to the universe, which universe is yourself. I am a divine being of light. I am knowing myself more and more. I am finding joy in my suffering. I am finding my gold in my lead. I am a conscious creator of this place when I remember how to dream. I will leave you that for today. I am Dawn the Awakener with Magic Hands Reiki. I am a mystic healer, a mystic teacher, a shamanic practitioner, and a Reiki master teacher. And I do offer energy healings and spiritual counseling and guidance sessions. I offer soul retrievals and personal power retrievals to help get back your power, to release attachments of all sorts and kinds. And I love you all. Have a blessed, wonderful, most magical knowing thyself day.